this were a golf major they would call today Moving Day. Welcome to Willow Springs International Raceway in Rosamond, California. Round 5 will bring itself into play of 8, and there are 2 races here today which says you've got to make the changes that are oh so important. We are sat with a huge opportunity for drivers here today. I'm Jake Sperry, Joey Atterbury, along with me for the ride here in your FIA, your SIMAGIC FIA F4 eSports Global Championship. And Joey, today is Moving Day, which means that it's king of the hill. Drivers at the top are fending off from revolution. Drivers at the bottom want a taste of royalty.
It's finally past that halfway point in the season. We've had 2 events so far, and you're right. We find ourselves here in Rosamond, California, with the ball finally rolling down the back half of the season here, and we couldn't have 2 tracks that are more different today.
Absolutely. They've had 24 hours notice to prepare for these 2 circuits. Willow Springs International Raceway, where we're at, and then a trip to the Belgian Ardennes, the second time in Belgium at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. The final 2 rounds on November 2nd will be announced on the 1st of November. So that will be where our season comes to a close. But it's 2 circuits that will feel very different, but will feel very much the same in sort of the style of racing that we're going to get. Joey, this is the sort of circuit which, when you remember what Willow Springs is, it's a Hollywood track, which means you've seen it in all the movies.
Yeah, you know, it is a popular filming location just about 90 minutes north of Los Angeles there. It's an incredibly fast circuit with plenty of track width to race on. Turn 1 is actually not the heaviest brake zone on the track here. It's actually towards the top of the hill at turn number 3. Sectors 1 and 3 are the fastest, while Sector 2 has got a tricky set of corners that sees drivers climb up and then back down the hillside, all while trying to keep that momentum as much as they possibly can. Traditionally, a low-grip racetrack and a very old surface combined with being in the middle of the desert means that wind and sand are constantly blowing through, and one doozy of a corner. Careful of that last turn. Turn number 9, it's as late of an apex as you can possibly make it. If the driver is too early or too late, they're going to hang on for a bumpy ride.
They absolutely are. Let's talk about, though, how they're racing and what they're going to be racing with here today, because it's quite simple here in the iRacing FIA F4 car. It's a fixed setup. Everybody has got exactly the same tools in front of them. It just matters how you make the most out of it. They've had 1 qualifying lap. It's been hot shot qualifying, the ultimate challenge for drivers to put themselves where they need to on the grid. But race 1 and race 2 here today are both 20 minutes long, and race points awarded from the results that can be generated. That is going to be really important to keep in mind. And Joey, when you put drivers in that high pressure situation, this is why the SIMAGIC FIA F4 Esports Global Championship is one of those revered championships. It puts drivers at the highest critical level of stress, which I think many series don't have that ability to do.
It keeps with the theme. We only have 24 hours for the drivers to learn the track, and then guess what? You only have 1 lap to actually go out there and perform in qualifying, so it's all kind of that fast-paced scenario that, yeah, you don't have much time. Kind of like in the real world, when you show up to a racetrack, you've only got 1 or 2 practice sessions that are only maybe 30 or 45 minutes long apiece. You better get up to speed immediately, because the longer you stay on your back foot, the faster that everybody else is essentially going to jump out in front of you, learn more about their car, more about the track, and be faster than you when it comes down to race time. So I think when we talk about the race and also the tracks, it's all in that pressure cooker.
Yeah, and they're not just doing this for freebies and the earning of winning. They are looking at their prize pool, $10,000 on the line here. If they can manage to find themselves at the top end of the championship, going down to 10th position overall at $200. And of course, there is a prize in each individual race, $300, $200, and $100 per result to get onto the podium. It is a prize pool worth $25,000, and there is certainly a very nice incentive on the line for those who want to prove themselves at the top of sim racing's peak as they look to go forward. But it's not just, Joey, the fact that they've tried to put themselves in there, it's the way they've qualified as well.
It's pretty impressive what this FIA SIMAGIC F4 eSports Global Championship is putting out on the table for all of these drivers. And like you said, $25,000 is nothing to scoff at. Everybody is pointing themselves towards that top step. You want to take home that lion's share. 10K is what you want.
Absolutely, 10K to put themselves in at the top if they can win this championship outright. They have all had to qualify through the official series, region specific, where the top 10 of the FIA or Regional Tour Series through Season 3 have found themselves with a ticket of entry, of course, into this championship. So they've got a lot on the line as they look to put themselves into perspective. But we are just moments away from getting ourselves into some racing action, and Luke McEwen, the hot hand here with this series, has now found himself at the top with Alejandro Sanchez alongside. 9,000's the difference. Jackson Rosenda will qualify in third with Martin Kadlacik in fourth position, the Chechen driver. You got Elvis Rankin in fifth with Nicholas Rubilar in P6.
Then in seventh place, we've got Aaron Vasquez along with Gordon Much lined up next to him. Graham Carroll and Felipe Cabrera will line up on row number 5 with Damon Woods and Hugh Barter sharing row 6.
Over then, of course, to row 7, where Leo Ovcharov has Cody Dietz for company. Hayata Saga will start from the 15th position with Ralph Benitez in 16th. Felipe Dantas is on row 9. He's got Benny Roberts for company.
Victor Miranda is here in 19th place with Caleb Hides in next to him on row number 10. Shoma Shintani along with Kazuki Fujita make up row number 11. And then the final driver is going to be Alejandro Sendra in the 25th position.
Two drivers failed to set a time. Jaden Ladich was one of them, and Felipe Julianto was the other. So they will have work to do over the course of 20 minutes worth of racing. A standing start that they'll need to get correct, and those on the right-hand side of the circuit have an advantage at a certain point. Those on the left-hand side will do a little bit further back, so keep an eye on that launch. Not the longest launch towards turn 1, but the Castrol corner is one that is normally quite quick in this F4 machinery. It's got that regional feel to it. It's got that smile about it. Green flag in the air, and we are racing. 20 minutes on the clock. McEwen gets a good start. Side by side they'll be as they all take that launch off of the line, and you take a look at the middle of the pack. They're still looking to try and sort themselves out. Like to Felipe Cabrera in there. Damon Woods just about holding his station, but at the front as they go through the rabbits here, the long turn 2 out on circuit. Jackson Rosenda in trouble as Martin Kadlacik moves around the outside to try and put himself up into third and manages it heading to the Omega.
The draft games have already started being played on the uphill, but now this is Sector 2, the more technical sector, up and over the crest here. Just a slight lift of the throttle, and then the drivers start to plunge downhill. This is a tricky corner right here. Hit the compression, use that extra banking in these cars and in this racetrack, and launch yourself out onto the back straightaway.
Over Monroe Ridge and now onto the back stretch with this tiny little flick of turn number 7, leading of course over to turn 8, which is the setup of this long sweeper, the decreasing radius heading over to turn 9. The two Apex Racing cars, 1 and 2. McEwen, who has been the hot hand after his victory in the IndyCar Butt Kicker Series, of course, only a couple of days ago, now has Alejandro Sanchez for company, trying to find a way through, pivoting over to that inside, in towards turn number 1, and we might see a bit of that here today as the pass is made slightly wide off the circuit. Will go the driver in fourth, Jackson Rosenda. He'll look behind at Elvis Rankin, Nicholas Rubilar, Aaron Vasquez. The train, you can argue, is 12 cars deep.
I think I saw the 92 of Caleb Hyde spinning off the racetrack in turn number 1, but I think up front, the face of this race that we're going to see is going to be super speedway racing. The amount of on throttle, especially 100% throttle time around Willow Springs in these F4 cars is huge. You're barely off the throttle. In fact, you only tap the brakes 3 different times around this place. So I think we're going to see draft trains, and whoever's the most smart and savvy up at the front leading that train can win today's race.
They absolutely can, and they are really looking feisty. A little bit back there, I think, just in front of Gordy Much. You got Aaron Vasquez, who's trying to get through on Nicholas Rubilar fourth position. Elvis Rankin having a slight wiggle through as it looks like Cody Deeth now dropping down the timing sheet, so he's run into troubles out there on circuit. But as they all look to push one car in the background going way off the road and into the shrubbery through the final section of the track, this has got that old school feel to it today, Joey, of how hard do they want to race and how much they've got to push. 6 different nationalities inside the top 6.
It's an amazing representation there. You see all the flags next to the drivers. It really has been Sanchez and McCune in control of these first, call it 2.5 laps so far. And Willow Springs is an interesting place. You said old school. It is an old school racetrack. I've got plenty of laps around here, plenty of personal experience in cars. And as we ride on board with Nicholas Rubelar, you get to see some of that elevation change that I was talking about. And these cars, you're 100% throttle so long. Just listen to this thing. You're never lifting off of the gas.
Oh, and you can see in front of him, Elvis Rankin's trying to unlock the pass on Jackson Rosenda. And this is important because they could lose slipstream if they take too long to make this move. Look at how much room they're trying to leave. They're unsure how much that you want. And the former champion then of the Skip Barber Racing Series, Elvis Rankin, gets the move done on Jackson Rosenda, moves up into 4th position. But look, all of that work to get that move done, all of that turmoil, and he almost gets hit from behind. How close does Jackson want to throw it? He'll wash out through the corner. Rubelar almost gets some contact as it's Chile versus Brazil through the Rabbit's Ear, and they are bumping wheels up the Rabbit's Ear looking for a chance.
They were literally touching tire to side pod here, but Rubelar is going to have the advantage going into turn number 3, the inside line. You can't hang tough, and now there's contact between the two, and Rosenda goes off, and now Rubelar is spinning off as well, collecting more.
Yeah, there's a secondary incident as well. Victor Miranda's caught up in it too, so he's spun around as well. Big drama then up the hill, and these are the fine margins that a race like this tends to bring up for these drivers. They know how important it is to get a move completed, and if they can't get it done here, Joey, they're going to be sat in a world of hurt, and that is what they run into. Look at how the front of the field has been decimated by comparison now. It is 3 clear at the front, and Elvis Rankin finds himself in no man's land.
And Kadlachik runs off the track in turn number 9 on the exit again. Remember when I was talking about that track map, that turn 9, it is such a doozy of a corner. Kadlachik has already been 4 wheels off twice. This is the replay on the bottom of the screen between Rubelar and his competitors.
Well, they were playing chicken against each other, interlocking wheels through the Rabbit's Ear, and then it's just a case of too wide, too aggressive in the corner from Rubelar, and it catches a lot of drivers out. There's Miranda's spin, which puts himself into the hay bales on the left-hand side of the circuit. Not ideal in the circumstances for them, but this is a championship where you need to continue to find those points, those all-important points that are there. Luke McEwen is looking at trying to move himself back up to the point here with Alejandro Sanchez, but I do like what Kadlachik has been doing in this race. He's not thrown, I would say, a massive haymaker out there at this point in time, 5 minutes in. He's still got 10 minutes before he's got to start thinking about go time.
It's eerily similar to the type of racing that we saw on the opening round at Mugello, where there was a lot of cars that just kind of broke away. It was 3, and then it kind of became a pack of 5 or 6 towards the end of the race, and then ultimately one of the competitors basically stole it away at the last minute. So we've got a breakaway of 3 between Sanchez, McCune, and Kadlachik, and you see McCune there in second place just kind of hanging out. He was actually overtaken from the lead. I think Alejandro likes just having a little bit of a clean visor more than Luca is worried about it right now, and so they're just trying to run away from Elvis Rankin in in 4th place.
Aaron Vasquez there running very wide through the Castrol corner, and that put him on a little bit of a crash course there of understanding what makes this circuit tough, because when you go off the circuit, it's very unique here, the typography of this. It's not a case of gravel, it's not a case of grass, it's scrubland that you find yourself off with around Willow Springs. And Joey, how does that make a huge difference?
Yeah, it's the high desert up here in Rosamond, California, as we catch another replay of exactly what happened for, I believe, about 15th, 17th position down here. This is Kazuki Fujita going into turn number 1. I think he's just going to get it a little bit wrong on the entry here. You see just a slight bit of contact, and he goes spinning off into that topography that you were just talking about, Jake. It is the high desert. lots of sand, lots of rock, and it also makes for the abrasive track surface, a very, very low grip track surface.
Which means that these drivers have to be running at a premium. It is 6 chasing 3 down at the front, with Alejandro Sanchez doing the donkey work, with Luke McEwen and Martin Kadlecic running wide, going through the Castrol corner and proving how difficult this circuit is. It's Elvis Rankin leading the chase behind, with Aaron Vasquez. Hugh Barter is in there with Graham Carroll, Damon Woods and Felipe Cabrera, who is hoping to put himself into the mix right now. The driver I want to highlight is the one in 7th position, Graham Carroll. He is a driver who has seen it all and has done it all when it has come to sim race right now, and he is looking for what he can out there to move forward in this field. He's gained 2 places right now in the Scuderia Ferrari HP eSports car out there at this point from Edinburgh, Scotland, and he will know the drivers up at the front because he used to race for the Apex Racing team, Joey, back in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series days. What will Graham Carroll do with all of his experience available to him?
He's also got a lot of Formula Ford experience in the real world as well. He had a good couple opening rounds there. He was solidly inside the top 10 in terms of the points. Had a little bit of a slip up, I believe, with Victor Miranda there at Circuit Zolder, which kind of dropped him out of the order, but it's good to see him back inside the top 10, currently in 7th place, hunting down 6th.
Yeah, he's certainly done very well when it's come to Scottish Formula Ford, when he's got the Jackie Stewart Trophy and the Walter Hayes Trophy there. But if you want to try and make yourself a trophy winner, and for more information on how this series and how to become a driver, you can log on to iRacing.com/FIA F4 eSports, and you can get an understanding of what it takes to be at the highest level of this sim racing championship here with us. Over towards the halfway stage, and look at that. The work that has been done by Elvis Rankin, the crucial matter of fact, Joey, is he did not fall outside of a 1.5 seconds, and the small tiny mistakes between Kadlecic out there has allowed Elvis Rankin in the Coanda car to move himself closer and over to the outside. The long road, hard travelled through towards the sweeper, is a very tough one to find the move, but if Elvis can find himself away, then he will be absolutely finding what he can. If he can dream of a move, he will try it.
Oh, and you see how much speed they're both trying to carry, and now the slipstream. Elvis is going to go out to driver's right side, the longer way around, so Kadlecic going defensive into turn number 1. You can hang it tough here. Let's see. A little bit of contact. Kadlecic gets loose. He's off in turn number 1. He's going to lose 2 positions, falling back into 5th.
The man from Zlamanek in the Czech Republic finds himself there in a whole heap of trouble and somehow is able to hold himself there. The Chechen sees behind there the likes of Hugh Barter trying to get himself close, but that's a couple places he'd wish he could have back. But it's again the fine margins we're talking about at Castrol Corner.
It's so tough, and we've seen Kadlecic run off at the exit of turn 9. We've also seen him flirt with that track limit at turn number 1, so turn number 1 finally bit him. He just kind of has to shake it all off right now. I know he's got Hugh Barter directly behind him. Maybe make a defensive maneuver as Hugh goes to the inside. He's not going to give up this position easily as Kadlecic, but I have a feeling the shortest distance puts Hugh right in front of him.
It does, and that gives him the move then through the sweeper. Hugh Barter definitely no stranger to this machinery, and look how hard they're pushing out to these corners. They know that time is of the essence. Look at how many places he has gained, Joey. He is up 7 and he is on a charge.
We typically don't see too many places being gained in these F4 cars. They are so dang evenly matched. These drivers are pretty much cutthroat out there. As you see Graham Carroll take a look down to the inside of Kadlecic. I wonder if Kadlecic maybe picked up a little bit of damage running off track so many times, because he had top 3 pace, but it seems like these last couple laps has just fallen off maybe a little bit.
Yeah, he might need a lap or 2 to get himself situated once again, but Alejandro Sanchez leading this field knows the game, and he knows it incredibly well, with Luke McEwen there behind from Brighton. Elvis Rankin, of course, who is no stranger to being incredibly fast in 3rd position. He wants to get himself in the picture, and then the quiet figure there in as a silhouette to these drivers in the front 3, Aaron Vasquez, who has been right up at the pointy end of many different championships, and he's trying to prove what he's got. McEwen thinking about it there, going in through the sweeper once more, heading out to the final corner. But he realizes here that Alejandro Sanchez is just trying to do his job, stay at the front and not put things into trouble. And there is some bump drafting almost along the front stretch up the hill towards Castro Corner. I think McEwen realizes there's no point scrapping right now. I'll scrap later when I've got a decisive chance.
That's kind of been the theme of the opening 4 rounds, is that if we don't have one driver run away with it, we've got a group of drivers that kind of tries to separate themselves from the rest, so that way when the time does run out, they just kind of get to settle it amongst themselves. And right now it's this 4-car breakaway. Then we've got a little bit of a, call it about a 1.5 second gap back to what is 5th place with Hugh Barter. But I think this top 4, the 2 that are really standing out, Elvis Rankin, who needs a good run. He has not had the start to the season that he really wants, nor is representative of him as a driver. And then Aaron Vasquez, he brings such an awesome personality. He just had 2 second places at the previous 2 rounds. The guy was smiling the whole time in his interviews. He's looking for more.
Oh, and look at what's going on as well as they now start to find that way through and moving backwards through the field. Watch out there, a plenty. It's going to be very important, that second group, as they go in. Rankin was trying to find a way through. Vasquez found the pass, but Barter under pressure because Kadlacik has found himself the ability to attack again here at the Castro Corner. Around the outside is very difficult, but they're both going to run off, and Graham Carroll trying to pick up a pocket or 2 around the outside now of the Rabbits here, trying to get this move sorted, and he is going to need his Scuderia Red to find itself a bit more pace as he looks to try and get through. Tyre to tyre, nowhere to go for Kadlacik, but he still somehow holds his line around the outside of turn 3 and gets it sorted at the Omega.
You might be asking yourself, why are these drivers constantly running off the track at exit? I've told everybody it is a low grip racetrack. You combine that with the downforce that's being made on these cars, and they're just essentially just right along the edge of adhesion. So whatever the front tires can give you, that's what these drivers are getting out of them. You go a little bit too fast, and all of a sudden that front end, it just doesn't grip up. This setup here at Willow Springs, a little bit more on the understeer side in comparison to the neutral that probably the drivers really want.
Damon Woods here currently finds himself right now here from Langwarren in Australia. He's hoping to get himself a really nice charge up through the field and say, you know what, this is what I think I can do. So he is really trying to get that launch. You can get the sense here, Joey, that it's where can you find the move, not how, it's where, because everyone's opening up and fanning out across the circuit to try and get a little advantage on the car in front in this pack mentality racing.
It looks like they're corners, but trust me, from the exit of turn 1 till right here, you are 100% throttle, flat on the floor throughout the entire thing. Just a tiny bit of a lift right here at the top of the hill, not even brakes. You dab the brake pedal right here, right before the compression, and then immediately you have to be back on the throttle before you actually hit that compression, because you have to rely on the physics to launch the car out of the corner, grip everything up, and you need to be on the accelerator at that point because you are flat out from there all the way to start finish.
You certainly are. 4 to the floor at the front of this field with 4 minutes remaining and the clock ticking down. McEwen running wider than Alejandro Sanchez coming out to the final corner. Some serpentine going along the front stretch. I think they're starting to think of moves. Looking into the mirror goes McEwen and thinks better of it. I think he's looking there at every chance he can get. Green ring are going to be there and he's trying to get himself there. Vasquez in third, definitely wants to put himself in the mix. So too will Rankin in fourth.
This has been a terrific race for Elvis Rankin, who's just kind of the caboose on the train right now. I think the most aggressive is definitely going to be Aaron Vasquez sitting there in that black and yellow machine in the third place. Remember, your pole sitter is sitting in second with those green wheels. That's Luke McEwen. So I think Alejandro Sanchez is going to have mirrors full very fast.
That is a lot of damage there on the bottom of your screen, and that's Damon Woods, who's found himself around without the rear wing, and that will be him out of the race late here with 3 minutes to go. A huge disaster for him and what he was hoping for, but he's going to have to try and battle back. But speaking of battling back, the long road for Luke McEwen, he's now going to have to try and cut back through at the final corner to get the run he wants, and this front stretch is going to be so important heading towards the line. McEwen, for the first time in about 17 minutes, will move alongside Alejandro Sanchez, straight to the inside with 2.5. Sanchez fights him back. There's a little bit of a wiggle there for McEwen, and he really struggles with a little bit of grip going through the middle, and as such loses out, and Vasquez wants to take some control.
Watch this car on the outside. He is going to have the inside to the next brake zone if McEwen can't clear him. Vasquez goes back underneath the rear wing in third place. But I want to point something out that we didn't catch on camera a handful of laps ago. Aaron Vasquez made a pass around the outside of turn number 9 on Elvis Rankin for what was the third place at the time. I didn't think that was even possible on that section of the racetrack. I wonder if he's going to show it again here to the top 2.
Keep an eye on the clock. You are looking for 1 minute and 14 seconds if they are to go onto the final lap. Anything more than that, and they will have an extra opportunity to get those moves sweeping through the final corners. You can tell the difference between Sanchez and McEwen by McEwen's green rims that he's got there on the machine. And there you can see 1 and 2 at the moment, trying to angle for opportunity here. The Serpentine again comes through, and they'll cross the line with about 8 seconds, Joey, worth of time in the bank, which means we're at 2 to go.
2 laps remaining. Vasquez literally on the gearbox there, putting the nose cone up against McEwen, while it's actually Sanchez that's got just a little bit of breathing room. There's not much space between the top 4 here, and remember, only the top 3 get to stand on the podium.
Only the top 3, and that's the crucial matter of fact in this one. Those 3 drivers are looking to try and put what they want into play. Now, in terms of the race win, there's going to be 1 bride. There's going to be 3 bridesmaids here, and there will be 1 bridesmaid for this podium. And almost pushing McEwen through the corner then is Vasquez. He knows how crucial it is for him to stay in range, because if they give Alejandro Sanchez even an inch to run away with, he takes a mile. That's the style of driver he is, and that's why he's been so good when it's come to what he's been able to do. But look at how they close.
Just that tiny little breath off of the throttle to set the nose in turn 9. The top 3 all run 4 wheels into the dirt. Barney waves the white flag. We've only got 9 turns left here at Willow Springs.
Well, let's call it 8, because they're already going through the Castrol corner, which looked like the prime place to get it done. Luke McEwen goes flying off the circuit, saves himself into play. Rankin trying to move himself up into the podium. No Dicer's full throttle through the rabbit's ear. That could have been massive in terms of this, but Alejandro Sanchez has been the coolest head here in what has been a Hollywood blockbuster of around 5 at the SIMAGIC FIA F4 Global eSports Championship. Up through the Omega and dropping down the hill. The 1 corner he's got to get right is Monroe Ridge, which is going to be turn number 6. If he gets that sorted, he might be home and hosed from this point. Vasquez hounding on the back of McEwen, looking for P2 if he possibly can. But now where do you go? McEwen, his eyes right into the mirror. It's fully defensive work that he's having to deal with right now, and Rankin is just a passenger to it. Was there contact between the 2? Well, it's still going to be between them, because Alejandro Sanchez will say, you go fight in the back. I'm going to go and win this race. Look at what it means. The fist bump there says I've done it. 3 wide it will be for second, and McEwen somehow holds.
Sanchez was able to run away, break the draft. McEwen, a nice 2nd place there. Vasquez barely hangs on to 3rd as Elvis Rankin finishes 4th. Let's watch the rest of the field stream through the finish line here at Rosamond, California. But it was another breakaway of 4 cars that decided the end of the race.
Well, those 4 cars all had to try and put their best foot forward and say, what could we do? But the moment they started looking at each other, it was a case of everybody else saying, you know what? This is what we've got to try and put through and get to the top. We are going to get an opportunity to talk to some of our drivers as we get confirmation of result. It's Alejandro Sanchez getting it done over Luke McEwen, with Aaron Vasquez rounding out the podium. Elvis Rankin in 4th ahead of Hugh Barter and Graham Carroll 5th and 6th. Good drives from them. Felipe Cabrera will take 7th ahead of Gordon March. Gordy getting a good job there, with Ralph Benitez in 9th position and Alejandro Sendra rounding out the top 10 of the field.
Then in 11th, we have Hayata Asaga, and then Felipe Juliato with a terrific run, up 13 positions to finish in 12th. Nicholas Rublar with a couple of little issues there, falls back to 13th. Ben Roberts in 14th, Kazuki Fujita 15th, Jaden Ladick in 16th, Jackson Resendez 17th, Felipe Pujol Dantas in 18th, Shoma Chintani 19th, and Leo Ovcharov in 20th.
Yeah, you'll have those drivers dropping down the field there who have got themselves caught up with some dramas, the likes, of course, of Cody D and Victor Miranda, too, who got caught out earlier on in the race. But we will now get a chance to talk to our race winner. Joey Atterbury stood by with Alejandro Sanchez.
Mr. Sanchez, congratulations. How does it feel to be standing on top?
Feels very good. Finally, after leading so many laps in the championship, I can come away with a win. So quite happy with that, obviously. Really tricky track, especially the wind conditions were not what we were expecting, so the car was a lot more understeer than we anticipated. So I think that changed the dynamics of the racing as well. I got lucky enough to go into P1 early on, and I just managed to stay there trying to defend from Luke for the whole 17 laps. And
I was gonna ask you if that was your strategy, because McEwen was on pole, but you overtook quite early. Are you just a little bit more comfortable with the clean track out in front of you, and then just have to fend everybody off behind?
Very much. I knew there was massive understeer in T2, so I wanted to keep my tires alive for as long as possible, and I figured the best way to do that was to get in the lead and try to stay there. And yeah, that's what I did. I tried to also take it easy in the last corner because it was really easy to just fly off the track and kill the fronts as well. So yeah, quite a different track than we are used to. It feels like very old school with basically no runoff, just gravel. But yeah, quite happy with the race.
Well, congrats on the win and good luck at Spa here in a few minutes.
Thank you very much.
That was our leader, Alex Sanchez, coming home with the checkered flag here. We also have Luke McEwen, our second place finisher, standing by. Luke, how was it out there for you today?
Quality was pretty good. Going into it, I was quite a bit, I'd say, off the pace. So to put it on pole I wasn't expecting it, but yeah, I had to pull something out of the bag, I guess. Then the race, looked after my tires the whole race, and I just had nothing at the end. I don't know what happened, but yeah, I'm lucky I held on to P2 there. Yeah, it's okay, I guess.
It seemed like turn 9 and turn 1 were kind of the difficult corners. It seemed like turn 1 might have caught you out on the exit there late in the race. What was it with those corners? Just low grip?
Yeah, the start of the race was totally fine, and by the end I just had no front tires left in some of the high speed corners, and then out of T9 it was just had no rear. It was just terrible. I don't know what happened, but yeah, like I said, lucky to hold on to P2.
Well, definitely a good point stay still. Second place, nothing to complain about, and good luck over in Belgium here in a few minutes.
Thank you.
That was Luke McEwen finishing in second, and then I believe we also have Aaron Vasquez finally standing on the podium. Third place here, Aaron, after a couple of seconds there, the last couple of rounds. A good, consistent podium for you.
Yeah, that was a good race, to be honest. I started doing very bad lap in quali, but then in race I can overtake very easy. And then it's all pace. I know that in this track I will have a lot of understeer in some corners, like in the last one, but I can manage all during the race, that thing. So I'm happy with the race, not with the quali, but I can take this P3, so I'm happy.
I have to ask you, because I saw you pass around the outside of turn number 9 for third place there, and I've got plenty of real-world racing experience on this track. That's somewhere where you don't go. How did you manage to pull off that pass?
Yeah, to be honest, I don't expect to go outside in that corner, but in practice I was practicing a bit that outside, and I think it's working. but Elvis I think live a bit more than I was expecting, so I can send it in the outside and finally I can overtake him. But yeah, I don't expect to send it in that corner, but I think Elvis live so much in because he has one person ahead of him, so yeah. I don't expect that, but it was a good move, I think.
It was an awesome move to watch it, and congratulations on another podium here at Willow Springs.
Thank you, guys. See you.
That was Aaron Vasquez driving the number 71 here, rounding out the podium at Willow Springs International Raceway, Jake.
Yeah, they did a very good job, but there is so much more racing to come up. We've got Spa coming up on the horizon. Stay with us here and at the SIMAGIC FIA F4 Global Esports Championship. We will be back with more after this.
Dirt Racing 24 is available now.
Your FIA eSports Championship is brought to you by World of Outlaws Dirt Racing 24. It takes the official game of the World of Outlaws to the next level, featuring 2 new series, new tracks, and an all-new challenge mode and new gameplay features like an adjustable wing and variable track states. For more information, visit worldofoutlaws.com. Alternatively, you could take an out of this world off-road racing experience with Exocross. Master 3 unique vehicles, advance through 6 championships in career mode, and take on dozens of unique challenges and special events to show off your speed. Exocross is available now, and visit exocrossgame.com for more information. Or do you want to dominate like the pros with SIMAGIC, leading sim racing manufacturer? Try our modular P1000 pedals with haptics or our best-selling GT Neo wheel. Stay tuned for all new wheelbases and more on the horizon. This was an amazing round 5 that we had to set things up as we get ourselves ready on what is the route of Liège-Bastogne-Liège, the great cycling classic. It's the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, all brand new with a lot of great action that's going on. I tell you what, we are in for a real treat. It's Jake Sperry, it's Joey Atterbury. Joey, this is one of the great tracks out there, one of the ultimate all-around racing thrills.
It's a fan and driver favorite. Who doesn't like going to the spa, right? I mean, it's 4 miles long, 19 turns. It is just a behemoth of a racetrack. Lots of people think, oh, the Nürburgring is the one that you want to go to. Sure, maybe if you want 150 turns, but it's actually this one in Belgium. It's got everything for you. It's got fast turns. It's got slow turns. It's got huge amounts of elevation throughout everywhere. It's literally where you want to go if you're a driver or a fan.
Absolutely, and we have seen what this circuit means in so many different series out there, but when it comes to this series and this championship, this is a type of car, Joey, that doesn't necessarily have all the horsepower in the world. It's got enough downforce to make the corners quick, but when it comes to the long straight up the Kemmel, when it comes to the run out of Stavelot corner over towards Blanchemont and the final chicane, this track is built for this style of overtaking, and it might be something where we could see 2 or 3 wide almost each and every lap.
I thought you had said something very interesting about Willow Springs and Spa earlier in the broadcast, that they're very similar. Yes, they are similar in the sense that you have your right foot down 100% to the floor for the majority of this lap around here. The best way to think about these FIA F4 cars here in iRacing is they're essentially extra large go-karts. They make a tremendous amount of mechanical grip. So you're trusting the steering wheel, your throttle and brake inputs, everything that you're telling the car. Yes, it does have a front wing, it does have a rear wing, it's got a floor on it, so it does have a couple little aerodynamics to help out with the drivers and the grip, especially in those medium to fast speed sections. But when you talk about the thrill of driving and going out there and gripping the wheel, hearing the engine and putting your foot flat to the floor, this FIA F4 machine is built for exactly that.
It certainly has been, and we need to talk about what is today and how important today's race is, because we've been talking about moving day. This has been where drivers want to make that progress up through the championship and get as much as they can out of it. Joey, the biggest important thing we've seen so far is just how good they have been up at the very, very top level of this field, and how great it's been from the likes of Luke McEwen and co.
It's all about the consistency up front, and it's been Luke McEwen that is currently standing on top. Remember, he was on pole just that last round at Willow Springs. He's also won a previous race out there, so I'm not surprised to see that number 96 up at the top. But Alejandro Sanchez has done a terrific job to rebound. He had a couple rough races early on that knocked him down through the order, so he's done a terrific job to bounce back up into second place. And then talk about Mr. Consistency himself, Aaron Vasquez, 3 podiums in the past 3 races.
You have to remember, it's 5 points difference between first and second. It's 25 points for a win. It's 20 points for a second place finish. And the gap is just 8 now at the top of the standings, which means that between McEwen, Sanchez and Vasquez, they're going to look like they want to try and get what they can out of it. But Joey, this is Spa. This is a track where anything can happen.
Anything can happen, and trust me, it will happen. The Kemmel Straight is not nearly as wide as Willow Springs International Raceway, so we're about to find out how much action this racetrack can pack into it.
Well, there's a lot of action, and that is going to be coming up very shortly here with us as we look to get ourselves ready and situated for what will be coming up. The Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps sits itself on the horizon. Stay with us here, of course, with your action with iRacing and the FIA, the SIMAGIC FIA F4 eSports Championship, because when we come back after this, we are going to be flying at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. nestled between two towns, Spa and Francorchamps. The Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps is a legendary circuit that strikes fear into the hearts of mere mortals. These are sim racing drivers who will look to take up the challenge today, and with the top three in the championship split by 13 points going into round 6, Jake Sperry, Joey Atterbury. Joey, we are stoked.
Yeah, it's an amazing racetrack here in Belgium, but we just came off of Willow Springs where we saw that 4-car breakaway with some very familiar names standing on the podium, really kind of stretching their legs up at the front of our championship.
Yeah, and it's that leg stretching that we've been talking about. Who can stand on that highest level? Who can put themselves up at the top echelon? That is what all of these drivers are hoping to gain and garner out of this situation that they find themselves. But when you talk about where they have been today to where they are now, it is the case of who has got the hot hand. And right now it's Alejandro Sanchez.
He's been extremely fast out there. He was able to snatch away that win at Willow Springs. And remember, we started over there in Italy at Mugello, then hopped on the virtual jet to Japan. We rounded out that opening weekend at Okayama, then over to Circuit Zolder, Portimao, Willow Springs earlier today, and now we find ourselves in Belgium, another FIA track for round number 6.
And just to remind people here, they've only had 24 hours to work out what they can do here at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. That's been the key to how they look to put it all together. But Joey, Spa, 7 kilometers and 4 meters, possibly one of the greatest circuits out there at the moment, as we currently focus here on Hugh Barter in qualifying.
Yeah, this is Hugh Barter working his way around what is kind of turn number 12 and 13 out here on this 19-turn, 4.35 mile or 7 kilometers, depending on how you look at it, at Spa, located about 90 minutes east of Brussels there in Belgium. We talked about it, a driver and fan favorite. It's a monster of a racetrack, first opened in 1921, and it's got everything you can ask for. Tremendous elevation throughout the lap, coupled with extremely fast corners, make for thrilling sectors, fast straightaways, and several passing opportunities. One of the most famous series sectors of corners was just Eau Rouge and Radion. That's all in the first sector here, where the drivers compress their car into the racetrack and really spit themselves up the Kemmel straightaway. Smooth, smart, and savvy is what it takes to be fast here at Spa.
And believe it or not, this is a reduced length of this circuit from what used to be when you had the likes of the Master Kink to go out and battle with over the course of a run. This is all about getting the best out of the car, because all these drivers sit on an even keel here today. They have all got a fixed setup. They all have 1 lap to put a qualifying time on the board, which is currently being mastered by Aaron Vazquez. At this moment in time, they will have 20 minutes to try and get 25 championship points, and this is the final stop before that final 2 races of the championship. Joey, this is what moving day is all about.
You got to get it done here, because you're right, after this round, you've only got 1 more day to look forward. Yeah, it's a couple more races, call it round number 7 and 8 after this one, but it really is only 1 day, 24 hours to get yourself prepped and then get out there and get those points. So about 4 minutes left here in qualifying. These drivers are just now starting their first timed lap, and we're going to see that board shuffle up quite a bit.
We absolutely are. There is Felipe Giuliato trying to get his lap in from Valinhos in Brazil, running through that final chicane, climbing the hill as you go. You're always trying to scrabble for a little bit of power out there. He runs right over the guttering, and he has to be very careful about how wide that he pushes there. I think that would have just invalidated his lap time, so he will have to start from the back of the field, which is a disaster. And this is the section of the circuit that's going to get these drivers high, up through Eau Rouge and in towards now the run along the Kemmel here, as we focus on Alejandro Sendra here from Matsudo in Japan, as he looks at the top of the hill on the highest point of the circuit, Lake Coombe into Malmedy.
I'm happy you mentioned the elevation. Yeah, the top of the circuit up here, and once you round call it turn number 7 right here. This right-hander, you start to plummet down the hill, and this downhill does not stop until you get all the way down into turn number 15. This corner right here, Ravage, turn number 8, it's incredibly tricky because it is that downhill braking zone, but this corner right here, oh my gosh, watch cars go through the gravel. You got to be careful of that tall apex curb. It can be another one of those doozy corners.
And if you want to put an amazing lap time on the board in this championship, you want to become a driver, or you want to join iRacing itself, you can log on to iRacing.com/FIA F4 eSports to get your new understanding of how to join one of the most amazing sim racing championships out there on the horizon. Focusing still with Sendra, running through the Fania chicane, and now to the campus corner. You can see that Institute there of Technology on the inside. Now you head towards Stavilo corner, and this is the long run back to home as you go along. This is where that foot is going to be fully to the floor, running over 210 kilometers an hour at this moment in time, Joey, and this is where drivers on the final few laps will be looking to try and get the giddy up through this very famous Blanchimont corner and get the angle they want into the final chicane.
You're going to see them tucking the head down, doing whatever they can to get their car a little bit faster on that uphill themselves. And you're right, there's that final bus stop chicane, as I call it, to round out the lap here. And I remember talking to us about the variety of drivers that we had at Willow Springs. It really is an international field out here. And to qualify for this FIA F4 Esports Global Championship, remember, each of these drivers had to go and compete in their regional tour series. They had to be top 10, the highest scoring top 10 points championship drivers of each of those regional tour series. And that's what was admitted here to the Global Championship. So when we talk about the best drivers in these F4 cars, it is literally the best in the world that we are looking at.
It is the creme de la creme, and at the moment these drivers are looking at putting what they can forward. This is one of those unique circuits as well, Joey, that when you put it down on paper, you look at what makes it difficult. They are all on a fixed setup, but that fixed setup is going to have a trade-off somewhere. It's either going to be in top speed or downforce, depending on whether they want the setup to be quick through the straights or whether they want to master the middle sector.
And if we want to get a little nerdy and talk about setup, because that's what I love to talk about when it comes down to race cars, I feel like the two between Willow Springs and Spa couldn't be more different. Remember, we heard a lot of those drivers talking about understeer. Couple that with the low grip track surface at Willow Springs. It is the complete opposite here in Belgium. High grip track surface with high speeds. Also, the setup a lot more neutral, so the drivers have a little bit more control with their steering inputs as well as those brake inputs. Remember, the touchy brakes, they can really help rotate a car on some of these corners. So I think the drivers will be a little bit more happy with how the cars are actually handling here at Spa.
They certainly will be if they're up there near the front. Those a little bit further back, maybe not so much when it comes to what they've got. Let's take a look, though, at our starting grid for what everyone has been waiting for, which is round 6. Aaron Vasquez has put himself on the front, but he's got Gordy Much for company alongside him on the front row. Hugh Barter will start from third alongside Alejandro Sanchez, who is second in the championship. Jackson Rosenda will go from 5th when looking for redemption. So too will Martin Kadlacik, who's going from 6th.
Luke McCune is starting from 7th place. Damon Woods, 8th place. Graham Carroll there in 9th with Caleb Hides in 10th. Alejandro Sendra and Victor Miranda will share row number 6.
Nicholas Rubilar will start from 13th alongside Ralph Benitez with Elvis Rankin. Poor qualifying for him down on row 8 alongside Felipe Cabrera with Felipe Dantas there in 15th and Kazuki Fujita, 17th and Kazuki Fujita in 18th.
19th is Shoma Shintani with Ben Roberts there next to him in 20th. Leo Ovcharov in 21st with Hayata Asaga starting 22nd. Cody Deeth back here in 23rd. Jaden Ladick 24th. And Felipe Juliato will round out our 25 cars.
25 cars then, all looking to try and get a little bit of a boost, and it's more than just pride. It is for $10,000 top prize here in the FIA F4 Esports Global Championship, with an extra $300 for every victory, $200 for every second, and $100 for every third place. It is a prize pool totaling $25,000, and they are looking to prove that they are the level best, and they can go and prove it. With Vasquez on the front, it will be up to everyone else behind to charge. He's in the prime position for what he wants in the championship, but this is a track where you can make passes. This is a track where you can make moves, but it's one of the shortest runs they will have all season towards turn number 1. Out on track. It's a very wide on-camber corner, and as the green flag drops, we're going to see who gets the best out of it. Much and Vasquez even as they now get the launch that they want. All drivers get through quite cleanly off of the start, but in towards the last horse hairpin, it might be a little bit different. And the big difference maker, Joey, that you'll see over the course of this lap, the track limits, it's not runoff anymore. For most of the circuit, it's gravel.
It is the updated Spa scan here in iRacing as we go through Eau Rouge and Raidillon for the first time. The cars compressing through that section and spinning themselves up over the crest onto this Kemmel straightaway. Hugh Barter pushing Gordon Much for second place, trying to overtake for the lead.
Oh, and Hugh Barter, who has done very well in Australian F4, is now looking at trying to get past Gordy Much for position, who has done so well in his real-world career out there as well. Two drivers who know each other well out on circuit. The up and unders up over the top at Malmedy corner. Vasquez, who started on the pole, has dropped down to third, and he's got Alejandro Sanchez, who is 5 points ahead of him in the championship. Behind him right now by 1 place on the circuit, side by side behind, and the big throw by Luke McEwen down the hill to the speaker's corner. Gets it done on Jackson Rosenda. He'll look like he saw a ghost.
I think that was pretty clutch from Luke right there to secure that position. He's already moved up 2 from where he started as we ride on board Alex Sanchez. Remember, he just won the previous race at Willow Springs. He finds himself in 4th place right behind Vasquez and Barter in a nice position. And he's also got his buddy Luke McEwen now in his rearview mirror.
Yes, but Luke McEwen, of course, is the championship leader who leads by 8 championship points. Every place that Sanchez can get over the top of McEwen is going to be gold for him, and he is on a gold rush after his victory last time out at Willow Springs. The long backstretch run as they now head themselves over towards Blanchimont, which is a fearsome corner, but here in this machinery, they'll be heading at about 225 kilometers an hour, trying to run that through absolutely flat out. It's a mere triviality in this machinery as they look to now try and get themselves onto the brakes and mind the anti-cut curves. Kadlachik making a pass a little bit further back, but at the moment, look at the train. It goes on forever.
I was just about to say, knock on wood over here, we've got all 25 iRacing FIA F4 cars in a draft pack. There is only, call it 2, maybe 3 car lengths separating each one of these things throughout the entire field. This is exactly the racing that Spa can provide.
Well, everyone doesn't want to let go of what everybody else can provide. The slipstream we thought would be a huge defining factor on this opening lap. It's everything. Don't want to be at the front like Gordy Much, because look at the push that comes along. Vasquez wanting to put Hugh Barter to the point up at the top, and they're going to manage that on top of it. Wonderfully constructed as he moves to the point. Vasquez now to second, Much now down to third. Alejandro Sanchez running out of room up the Kemmel.
But what I noticed out of that was Sanchez in 4th place actually had the biggest run out of them all, so the bump draft is efficient enough to clear the leader. So if you're in 2nd and 3rd place, yes, you can clear 1st place on the Kemmel Straight, but I'd be worried about that 4th place car because I do think that the draft is more efficient than pushing somebody along.
Well, that's going to be where they hope at the front of the field it's going to work. It has been getting busy a little bit further back in the pack as well. We focus to about 13th, 14th with Alejandro Sendra. He's got Ralph Benitez, Cody Deeth, who's back there, part of the 10K iRating Club, which is the biggest measure on iRacing for how good you are. We've got 4 drivers over in the 10,000 club out there, and Cody Deeth is one of them, and he's looking to push and make some places here and gain a little bit more.
This is the lowest part of the circuit here through turn 14 and 15 right here, and now you start the uphill climb and it is just put your foot flat to the floor here as we ride on board the number 73 of Alejandro Sendra looking rearwards. That is Cody Deeth looking to the outside of Ralph Benitez, but that's going to be on the wrong side of Blanchimont. You really want to set up the pass for this next corner, this big old break zone into the chicane.
Well, it's so early in the morning for Alejandro Sendra at this moment. Speaking of which, it's starting to get huge at the front. We got 3 wide in the back for 4th, 5th and 6th. Kalchik there with the likes of McEwen and Gordy Much, who I think is going to be on the wrong side of it as they go through. Alejandro Sanchez picking up what he wants, and suddenly it just ignited as they all looked. It would look like it was nothing side by side through Blanchimont, and everyone tried to dogpile as they went through for the final chicane, Joey.
I think that Luke McEwen and those green wheels, very smart right there, had to lift off the throttle not to go too wide through that Eau Rouge and Radion complex, but look out. Look at that black and red car. Kadlachik has now entered the party. Vasquez trying to make a move for the lead. We're 3 wide down the Kemmel Straight.
Oh, and this is where it could get dangerous. Hold on to your hats at the braking zone. Aaron Vasquez is just going to get what he wants from it, and he's just about going to manage it. But look on the outside at Alejandro Sanchez. That's what they were all trying to battle for. That's how aggressive they're going to be here today. And they still fan 2 wide down at Bruchel down the hill. More dramas as the car in the back there on the replay found themselves going up and over, and that's the pitfalls that you find. Alejandro Sanchez, you cannot stop him today. He's at the point.
That was wild. It looked like a pace lap, 2x2x2 for the front 6 cars all through that section of corners. Sanchez finds his way up to the front with Vasquez now sitting in 2nd place. But, I mean, we're talking about a draft train that's only, call it 0.2 of a second, separating each of the cars all the way down to, oh, Jake, 15th place.
Well, it just goes to show that this is going to be a one small mistake, one rock of the apple cart will send an entire flotilla of cars into trouble right now. We have 13 and a half and under left in this race of round 6. And at the moment, it's a case of everybody is putting their name into the hat and saying, you know what, this might be my round that I want to find the victory. Still some more side by side. Pick your train. They're Talladega drafting to try and get themselves to the point. Sanchez will have to look out at Aaron Vasquez, who throws it to the inside, but has to back out of it as he gets a massive kick over the anti-cut curb and gives the gap that's needed. Much falls into line. He knows that he's got to play the long game.
Can take a little bit of a breath going into turn 1. I say that as Kadlachik goes full send, is able to overtake Luke McEwen right there. So move Kadlachik up into the top 5. Now he's right on the back of Hugh Barter, but this is not going to work out. If you're on the outside going into this corner, you're going to be hung out to dry. A little bit of a lift there from that black and red number 31. Tuck back in line. That's the smart thing to do.
Yeah, if you take the lift going into Eau Rouge, you can really get the slingshot out of Radion and then go smiling along the stretch as we go on board right now with Luke McEwen here, the championship leader, who thinks to put it 3 wide because he knows that the top 3 could run away if he's not too careful, if he plays the game even slightly incorrectly. Still stuck on the outside of Kadlachik, but can't do anything about it. Stays in 6th, but look at that gap back between Hugh Barter and Gordon Much. Gordy here has got enough of the gap, but look at how they close it over the top of the hill. Anytime there's a gap, it just gets eaten alive.
It does. The slipstream is quite powerful, and all of the cars are right there in it. I think the big difference between Willow Springs and what we've got here at Spa is that lap time. Remember, we're only doing, call it about minute 15s there at Willow Springs. 2 minutes 20 per lap here at Spa. So the amount of laps these drivers are going to do in 20 minutes, far less.
Absolutely. And because they're doing far less laps, how much of an emphasis, Joey, is it going to put on each corner, on each overtaking opportunity?
It just makes each one of those brake zones that much more critical. So utilize that slipstream, utilize that tow, and take advantage of every opportunity you've got. Aaron Vasquez right now doing a tremendous job. Remember, he's had 3 podiums in a row. He's currently leading this field. He's trying to put his foot down on the championship.
This is some elite sim racing, and you want to jump in and join us here with iRacing. For more information on how to start your iRacing career, log on to iRacing.com today, because you could get racing like this, too wide, too deep, heading into the final corner at Spa, and Sanchez holds off. Vasquez having to deal with much still, and then you got Barter, Kadlachik, McEwen. Jackson Rosenda doesn't know what to do. He's got himself wagging here, there, everywhere, and then Graham Carroll giving himself a tiny bit of room for the next little lot that's trying to make that progress, because he realizes here that if something happens with those drivers going so aggressive at the front, he's going to want to pick up the pieces, and he needs time to react if that happens.
What I'm curious about here is, while 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, they're all packed together, this is the biggest lead that our leader has had over 2nd. I'm curious about the slipstream, because he was about 10 cars back going through Radion. Let's see if Vasquez has enough mile an hour, has enough top speed. It's actually the 3rd car in line, Gordy Much, who's going to overtake for 2nd. And look at them all come. That is just such a huge closing rate using that triple draft.
Oh, and it's contact, and round's going to go. Luke McEwen, championship leader's gone around.
That is huge. I believe it was Kadlachik also involved. You see the green wheels on that number 96. That is Luke McEwen. Disaster there for our championship leader. He's got it gathered back up and on the racetrack, but he's fallen down several positions.
That's a game changer at the halfway stage of round 6 of the SIMAGIC FIA F4 Global Esports Championship. Your championship leader around and now on damage limitation. Alejandro Sanchez now finds himself in the lead, and potentially the championship lead at that.
And this was a really tough incident. We're going to get the replay on the bottom of the screen. Watch Kadlachik, black and red, make slight contact as he was spinning around already with Luke McEwen. So I really feel like Luke almost an innocent bystander there, but that is racing. Sometimes it's great. Sometimes it takes everything away from you.
Well, I think McEwen was being really aggressive. He was on the inside searching for the move, going up in towards Lake Coombe, Joey. He then went back to the outside to try and sneak one around the outside, and ultimately the two came together, and everyone behind them just ran up over the top of them.
You know what it was, Jake, is that he was up at the front. He's used to racing up at the front, and trust me, he wants to be there. He was scrambling to get there, and when you find yourself in the middle of the pack, you find yourself doing moves that you traditionally might not do. That's exactly what Luke McEwen found himself in, was some mud.
Yeah, he found himself with a world of trouble. Points, as he is in 16th position right now, are very, very different. It's 25 for a win. It's 20 points for 2nd. You look at 3rd, it's 16, and then it's 14, 12, 10, and then 1 point down from that. So he might be looking for maybe 1, 2, 3 championship points at best. He needs everything he can get his hands on.
I think the good news for this driver, though, is that on my screen over here, I've gone and looked throughout the car. I don't see any aerodynamic damage. We're 3 wide once again here for the lead between Much, Barter, and Vasquez going down the Kemmel Straight. Looks like the 68's going to claim the lead.
Hugh Barter making his point known at 7 minutes 18 seconds remaining. He sees Gordy Much just behind him. Alex Sanchez, Aaron Vasquez, Jackson Rosenda, the ever quiet presence of Graham Carroll, and Nicholas Rubilar, who is there making the big 7 at the front, and half a second back is Cody D, who started 23rd on the grid and is now up at P8.
I believe it was Hugh Barter that had that great run back at Portimao, and he said that that was the turning point in his championship. He has certainly shown up here in Belgium as we ride on board the number 29 of Graham Carroll. Remember, he was having a solid run inside the top 10 just at Willow Springs a few minutes ago, and he kind of finds himself in that familiar 6th place.
Yes, and I think he's waiting for the stars to align. If he can just get one at a time here, Joey, you'll have a great chance of trying to go for the victory. I think if you're 4th, even 5th going up the hill, you've got a shot of victory on the final lap.
I think it's going to come down to the run from Blanchimont to the final chicane. I know that sounds simple, but it all gets set up out of that turn that we just watched, turn number 15, and the run up the hill. It seems like everybody plays nice to this point right here, the apex at what is turn number 17, and then they all fan out up this steep uphill into the brake zone, all try to pick out their favorite braking marker. Look at that. Around the outside was that Jackson Resenda. Almost got 2 for 1.
He almost got it, but remember, he'll struggle on the drive along this front stretch. He needs some slipstream. He'll pick it up off of Alex Sanchez. He'll try and defend against Aaron Vasquez, who's now dropped into fifth position. Vasquez throws it down the inside at the opening corner last source, and now he'll need some drive off the exit, but because he was so shallow there, Joey, look at the run Resenda gets down the hill.
Yeah, and Vasquez is just on the wrong side of the road here. We've seen drivers have to lift, and that's exactly what Vasquez does. You don't end up on the podium by making dumb moves. Look at them all stack up right behind Rubilar, Carroll, but it's all going to be Vasquez trying to make the move on Resenda as up front. Gordy Much is trying to pass for the lead.
And Gordy's going to take the race lead here with 5 minutes on the clock. They'll be looking at 3 laps potentially left to go in this race if it continues at this trend. And now you start thinking about, well, where is the best place to be? I don't think anybody wants to be necessarily at the front on the final lap here. Everyone's hoping to be second best. So this is where you're going to get the gamesmanship. This is where you start jostling and say, well, this is where I want to be. And will drivers decide to think, well, I can make moves? Or will they say, no, we can't, we'll leave you stuck out there?
Well, here's the thing. I had mentioned they're all playing nice and tidy up to Blanchimont, and then it fans out after turn number 17. And if you're the leader at the exit of turn number 17, guess what? You're already on the right side of the road, which puts you in the perfect defensive position. And it also puts you on the outside of that final turn to launch out onto the front straightaway. So, Jake, I would say that if you're leading at Blanchimont, go far right, defend hard on the right side of the racetrack, make everybody else go the long way around you.
That seems to be the case. Gordon Much from Inverurie in Scotland. He is hoping for a really good run, and he takes the big, wide, arcing run through the curve of Paul Frere, knowing that all these drivers now, and I think it's so telling to see Hugh Barter taking the wide line, heading up towards Blanchimont. I don't think he wants that place at all.
He wants to draft from here up to this chicane, and look out for Sanchez, the previous race winner. He's going to try to stick his nose down the inside. So that's Barter there in the second place. Vasquez in that other black and yellow car, but it's Sanchez in third. That actually gets the tremendous power down out of that last corner. Puts him in a prime position. Probably not going to outbrake into the La Source hairpin. It is so crucial on the exit to be able to get your foot to the floor.
It's 5 points difference between Alejandro Sanchez and Aaron Vasquez in the championship. The difference maker is going to be between third and fourth, 16 and 14 points. It would be a 7-point championship lead into the hands of Alejandro Sanchez with 2 races to go in the season. But now it's going to be about the straight. Now it's going to be watch the middle of the pack, because we take a look with this beautiful angle here at Graham Carroll, and he sees 2 wide, 2 deep right in front of him. Everyone's jostling for a little bit of an extra angle out there. They will see that Hugh Barter moves back to the point with what is 2 laps to go, and it's going to be a case of everybody hold on to your hat, because now here comes Alex Sanchez at the Vista.
Oh my goodness, plunging down the hill. Got to make sure to get the car stopped. I see a little bit of a lockup out of Jackson Resenda there in the 5th place position, but Hugh Barter is setting the pace out front. Gordy Much sitting there in second. Alex Sanchez right there in 3rd place. The run down the hill goes to Aaron Vasquez. I don't think that you could slip a piece of paper between 2nd, 3rd, and 4th as we go through one of the famous sections around Belgium here at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. What an amazing racetrack.
Lucky for some, there are 13 cars in this train, and they are all looking, 14 cars in this train, all trying to put their best foot forward. The one car just outside that train is your championship leader, Luke McEwen, who is trying everything under the sun to jump up and join this at 1.7 seconds adrift. This is magical, and right now, Hugh Barter has the weight of the world behind him. He has got the impossible task.
Let's see how these drivers act from the apex of Blanchimont into that final chicane here, because second, third, fourth all have heavy closing rates. There goes Barter to the far right side of the track. That's what I think is going to be the winning move, as long as you're confident on the brakes here. 2 by 2 by 2 for the top 6. It's actually going to be Gordy Much that heads ahead through that final chicane to take the white flag.
One final lap here at Spa, 7 kilometers and 4 extra meters. Who is going to need the extra right now? Oh, you can throw a blanket over the top 10. They are 2 wide, 5 deep as they head their way towards Eau Rouge and Radion, and suddenly it's Aaron Vasquez who wants to start making a bit of movement, because there is 4 points difference between second and third, and he's moving to the championship lead by 1 if he gets it done. Alejandro Sanchez on the outside, no room for Vasquez. He's going to be blocked in the middle. Where do you want to go? Look at this. It's incredible up the Kevel. I've never seen anything like it as they head themselves over towards Lake Coupe. 3 wide on the brakes, and they throw it in. Alejandro Sanchez loses out. Barter in the middle of it. Gordy Much to the point, and still they all hold themselves together. Something's got to give here at the top of the hill, heading down towards Bruxelles. This is incredible stuff as they go through. Vasquez now having to deal with Miranda for position, who has quietly worked himself up the field, and still at 1.3 is McEwen trying to get onto it. 2 seconds between the top 14 with half a lap to go, and suddenly the gap starts to extend here at the front for Gordy Much, who must run as fast as he can, because he knows the gap is going to be clawed back out to Stavolo, and Barter and Alejandro Sanchez are the ones who need to do it. A bit of side by side as they run further back. That's behind Miranda. That's Deep and Rubilar, and there is Gordy Much. Oh, huge accident in the background. Up and over goes both Rubilar, and also that's going to be Cody D. But now at the front, Gordy Much will have seen the carnage behind, and now he's got one last chance that he's got to defend. Hugh Barter and Gordy Much have been trading, but have they left it too late for Alejandro Sanchez to try and get the almighty run? Watch out for Blanchimont, and watch out for this final chicane, because this is where the magic happens here. This is for SIMAGIC. This is where you got to go. Sanchez thought about 3 wide. He doesn't do it. Much, it's too far deep on the brakes. It's 3 wide to the final corner. Sanchez is pushed out. Vasquez trying to slip away through, but it's Much to his delight. He wins.
Gordy Much claims a checkered flag here at Spa, and did you see the savvy racecraft from that number 71 of Aaron Vasquez? He sat back, watched the 3 wide right in front of him, got the exit out of the final turn to steal away second place. Luke McEwen, our championship leader coming into Spa, did finish in 13th.
Well, that's a couple points for Luke McEwen, and this is why he'll pick up those couple extras, because look at this between Rubilar and D. Final lap, final opportunities, Joey, and it ends in total chaos.
This is one of the more narrow sections of the racetrack. Watch the 2 Dayglow yellow cars here. They're just going to combine wheels and off heavy into that tire wall, up and over the catch fencing, and that's all it took to eliminate those 2. Luke McEwen up +2, but then the run to the line, it was pretty wild from these front 3. Gordy Much completely blew this last chicane, but was able to still hang on to the lead. It's that car in 4th place that jumped up to 2nd.
He'll count his lucky stars. They were so aggressive around him. If it were just going to be Hugh Barter, he would have had a chance to say, you know what, it's going to be my mistake. He throws it into the corner, and it's Alejandro Sanchez that pretty much puts the kibosh on that. And then you look around at who can get a drive, and I tell you what, Aaron Vasquez is going to be someone really happy about that, because the way that he's got that result heading towards the end, he will take the championship lead. With Gordy Much picking up the points, Aaron Vasquez will leave Spa, your leader, with 2 rounds to go, with Alejandro Sanchez down in 5th position. You could throw 7 cars within a second by the end of the line, with Hugh Barter 3rd, Jackson Rosenda 4th, Victor Miranda 6th, and Graham Carroll in 7th position. Damon Woods would end up in 8th, ahead of Elvis Rankin recovering tonight, and Caleb Hyde getting the top 10 finish.
Across the page in 11th is Alejandro Sendra in the number 73, finishing in 11th place. Ralph Benitez finishing in 12th with Luke McEwen. We documented that, slipping back from the front battle to finish in 13th there, but did finish the race and pick up some points. Martin Kadlachik in 14th, Kazuki Fujita in 15th, Shomi Shintani 16th, Nicholas Rubelar 17th with that problem there on the last lap, Hayata Isaga 18th, Felipe Cabrera 19th, and Felipe Dantas in 20th.
And then you start looking behind. The last finisher on the leading lap would be Cody Deeth. He would get over the line at a minute 11 down. The likes of Leo Ovcharov, Jaden Ladich, Benny Roberts, and Felipe Juliato out of the race here at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. But a crazy race with an incredible finish to it. Joey, you've got the drivers' reactions to it, and with you right now will be your race winner overall of car number 61. That will be Gordon Mutch.
Yeah, we've got Gordy Mutch joining us here in the commentary booth. First of all, congratulations on your first win in the series.
Yeah, thank you so much. A little bit delayed, bad luck in the past few rounds, but yeah, much more like it.
Well, you're smiling right now, so it seems like you had fun that race.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Spa was always going to be really, really close. I mean, that run from La Source down the Kemmel Straight into Lacombe is always a little bit of a lottery about who's going to come out on top on the last lap. But on the last lap, I managed to back things up a little bit. Turn one, I wanted. I didn't really care who it was, but whoever it was behind me, I wanted them to come out side by side. And then that allowed me essentially to dictate the positioning down Kemmel. And I put myself in a position where someone would have to push me so I could keep the lead, essentially. That was my only hope, and it worked out perfectly. So the strategy worked, so I'm really, really happy with how I played that one on the last lap.
Well, I got to ask you, since you gave away your notes on the first half of the lap, were you worried about the run from Blanchimont up into the last chicane at all?
Well, in my opinion, it was just kind of, I made the decision if I was side by side with whoever it was into that last chicane, I was not going to be outbraked. I had to be later on the brakes than anyone into that last chicane. I almost didn't make the corner, but I managed to just unlock that front right wheel, which was yeah. I mean, if it was real life, I'd need a dentist after this, because those tires definitely would have been flat spotted. But yeah, just made the corner. So yeah, absolutely delighted with that one. It's been a real rough season. I mean, this is the first event that I've actually been able to prep for. So yeah, it's nice to kind of be where I should have been all season, really.
Well, I think you performed tremendously today, especially here at Spa. Congrats on the win, and we'll see you for those last couple rounds in a couple weeks.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
That was Gordon Mutch, our winner today at Spa. And then another familiar face yet again, 4 podiums in a row, another second place for Aaron Vasquez. How are you feeling?
I'm very happy, to be honest, but this race was awesome, to be honest, also because I don't expect, to be honest, finish P2. I expect crash in this race, but the quality was so good. I did P1, so I'm very happy in that part. But then in the race, my strategy is defend like a lion every lap. But yeah, I'm very happy. I don't have words now because the finish was insane, I think. So I'm very happy. Thank you, my teammates. Thank you, my team in general. So thanks.
Well, I got to ask you, that last lap, especially the run up the Kemmel Straight, were you aware that it was pretty much the top 10 all locked in, bump drafting each other? How crazy was that from your point of view?
Yeah, I don't know, because I was P3 before the all straight, I think. So my strategy in that straight was push my teammates, because I was in 3 wide, so I cannot do more, I think. But then when we were arriving to the last corner, I don't have too much chance to overtake, because I was P5, so my strategy was wait for the crash or wait for prepare the last corner and try to overtake it. That's the thing I do. So yeah, but it was so hard to prepare because you have also guys behind and you cannot prepare like you want. But yeah, that's how to race.
I got another question for you that doesn't necessarily pertain to the series here, but I'm getting some notes behind the scenes. Impressive stuff, man. 12,000 iRating.
Yeah, I got yesterday, I think, in the GT3 fix, but yeah, I don't know. But I mean, maybe I'm not the very best driver, the best driver in iRacing, but because I'm racing a lot in officials and I have a good level, I think, right now with the GT3, the sport cars, and in general. But yeah, that's insane in iRacing, to be honest, because I am the second person to arrive at iRacing and no one have in the past. So yeah, I'm very happy. It's very difficult, to be honest, because you need to race a lot in the officials and you need to win every race because if you finish P2, P3 in lower soft, you lost iRating already. But yeah, I'm very happy with my level right now and my rating and my performance in every championship I'm doing.
I can tell it's passionate for you. Keep on chugging along. You'll get there. Congratulations on yet another podium finish here in the F4 series.
Thank you, guys. See you.
That was Aaron Vazquez, and I think we've got Hugh Barter as well, who finished in the third place position here at Spa. What a crazy last lap there. It's great to be talking to you again here at the end of one of these things.
Yeah, likewise. Like I said, last round, the aim was to finish the races, and seems like it did me some favors for the championship. So even though it could have been better, I'm still happy with the results.
It seemed like Spa was incredibly hectic, at least here from the commentary booth. What was it like from the driver's seat with everybody drafting every single straightaway?
Yeah, obviously, like I knew coming into the race it was going to be something like that, and qualifying up the front would be crucial because basically once you're in the pack, it's pretty hard to move your way forward because it's like you pass one and the next lap the guy behind you wants to pass again. So when I stuck at P3, it was just a matter of staying in that pack and trying to always, move forward because it's always like 2 steps forward, 1 step back sort of situation. But yeah, obviously you have to keep your cool and just do with what you got.
Well, I think you had a great run at Willow Springs just a little bit ago and a good podium here at Spa. Thanks for coming out and racing with us, and congrats on that third place.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That was Hugh Barter driving the number 68 here today, Jake, ending up with another podium finish.
Well, the SIMAGIC F4 FIA Global Esports Championship has just delivered one of the all-time great sim races that you could possibly see. And that is how the championship looks, heading with 2 rounds to go. 4 points between 3 drivers, and each to their own deserves to be right up there at the top. We are in, Joey, for an absolute treat in 2 weeks' time. Mark in your calendar November 2nd.
Just look at those 3 drivers. Aaron Vazquez had 2 podiums today. Alex Sanchez won at Willow Springs and then just missed out on the podium here at Spa. Luke McEwen was on pole earlier today and was on the podium at Willow Springs, sitting there in 3rd place. Like you said, Jake, 4 points separating those 3 drivers. But trust me, don't count out Graham Carroll or Hugh Barter or any of these other drivers inside the top 10. If you're mathematically possible, you can get there.
You absolutely can. There is still 8 drivers with a mathematical chance of getting what they want, and they will be hoping that they can manage that on November 2nd at 3 p.m. Eastern. You do not want to miss what is going on with us here with SIMAGIC and, of course, the FIA F4 Global Esports Championship here on iRacing. What a showcase of the immortals we have had. Quite simply put, there is not much more that you can say except Gordy Much may have just won the greatest sim race of all time on the greatest championship potentially of all time, and there is still 2 rounds left, all to play for. We will see you in 2 weeks' time.